you bring in the satsang, but it's very important you bring them. Don't underestimate that, because all those little seeds of spirituality goes into them. And the power of God's name ultimately comes to their rescue as they grow up. And that's what happened to me, I believe. I never knew what a vacation was. The vacation was to go to some spiritual retreat. And those days there was no Sai bhajans, which doesn't have a beginning and end. They would go 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours into the night. And I would be like, Mom, can we do something else other than bhajans? And she said, shh. I grew up in that. And by the time I was in my teens, I was kind of getting fed up with the whole idea of just pujas after pujas after pujas. I was like, when is this ever going to end? And nobody explained to me why are there gods with arms and bows and arrows, and why everybody looks so fearful. I was afraid of Mother Kali's picture. I was like, why do you have that picture in your house? But nobody explained to me why. Nobody explained to me that these are various energies that we gather. We bring the formless into the form, and that's how we relate to the formless ultimately. And that's how the Upanishads are, the Vedas are. I got to understand and learn all this in Puttaparthi as we listened to Swami, watched and learned, and had so much time to read, understand and introspect. What is the meaning and purpose of all this? But when I was 13 or 14, I just didn't get it. By the time I was 16, I was sure that there was no God. Because I was told about, oh, you're from higher caste and this and that, and they perform my thread ceremony, and the pujari who gave me the mantra was, who actually initiates you. The pujari who initiates you into the Gayatri mantra is the one who is considered as God that day. So he whispers it to my father, and my father whispers it into my ear. That's the procedure. And so because it's supposed to be done in secret, because ladies are not supposed to hear, and who knows, other caste people might be around, what they do is, they put a huge sheet around you. So you're covered there, 3 of you sitting there, and this secret ceremony takes place. Isn't it amazing how Baba was the first one who broke this out into the open and said, everyone can chant, this is a prayer for enlightenment. That was so powerful. We were all there. I'm sure Brother Abhi was also there. But it was such a powerful thing to listen to him chant and initiate people into the highest prayer. Into the highest prayer of enlightenment. But that day was not supposed to be my lucky day. I was so disillusioned because that pujari looked at me and said, after this, when you get the money, give the envelopes to me. So under that sheet, I am sitting, and before my father came, he whispered menacingly, listen, bacha, give all the envelopes to me, you keep the change, I want the envelopes. I was terrified on the one side, because I was just a 12-year-old, and these big pot-bellied priests are sitting there, sweaty under that sheet, and you're like, oh my gosh. As it is, he's been chanting mantras so fast, and he expected to repeat. I was very nervous. But that was my breaking point. I realized, my God, my father went out of his way. He was not a rich man, to make this an event, invited families and friends, and this was such an important thing for my parents, and all this person is interested was money. So for me, that was my breaking point. I said, no, this doesn't work. This doesn't make any more sense. I did my 10th grade. I passed my 10th grade, and my father got transferred in his job from Bombay to a little town in Haryana. It was about 60 to 80 miles away from Delhi, in a little town called Bahadurgarh. And so he got posted there. And so the question came, what happens to Sunder after his 12th grade? We got 1.5 years now. After that, what's going to happen? Which college can he go? There's no place to stay now in Bombay. He can't come and stay in Delhi. And Delhi had a bad reputation then. And I don't know if it has a good reputation now, but for people who said, oh my God, how can I leave my child? He can't live in a hostel, he'll go smoking and doing all this. He has to be in a safe place. Where will he go? Because I was questioning about God and everything openly in my family, I was a black sheep. And I had told them clearly, I want to join the Film Institute in Pune. That's where I want to be, that's my career. And they thought, oh my God, he's gone. This guy is gone. I could never get good grades anyway, so I thought might as well make it out in the films. And I wanted to be a comedian. I never had hallucinations. Look at my height and my looks. I mean, you can't become a hero there. I said, comedian is good. So much to my family's disappointment, I was the black sheep, and so they said we have to make sure he's in a place where he can study and somehow get his degree and somehow become an accountant. My father was an accountant, so he said you will also become an accountant. In our generation they decided what you're going to be. There wasn't anything that was coming up. this is where, when I look back, I feel that the little seeds of spirituality that you sow in a child, somehow the divine power of God embraces you. You know, the power of Sai, when we come like this with our family, it protects us. The little things in life that goes on, the ups and downs in life, and you gain something, you lose something, somebody falls sick, all that goes on the little, but in the overall sense, there is a divine protection. He is there to protect us. When push comes to shove, he'll push you to the edge, but he's there to hold you. And if you have to jump over the cliff or fall over the cliff, fall. He'll be there to hold you. And so I realized at that point when I had to seek some place, my family was seeking some place, their pujas were heard. I completely credit it to my father and mother. So I was led in summer, and this doesn't happen so clearly. It always happens in little bits and pieces, and many years later you look back in life and say, wow, there was a divine plan, there was a divine hand in it. So one thing led to the other, and I was introduced to Sai Datta in Worli in Bombay. Many of you who have been associated with Baba knows he was Baba's official photographer for many days. He comes also from a family who was devoted to Shirdi Baba, and their family has the early pictures originally taken of Shirdi Baba. So he was Baba's our Baba's devotee, and I met him. I went to his studio for only one reason. Because I had summer, I had nothing else to do. Somebody said, hey, there is this guy, he teaches you to paint. I like painting. And guess what he does for painting? He paints black and white photographs into color. There was a special color available, because those days color pictures were very expensive. And so I said, okay, I'll give it a try, I'll go and learn painting. So he welcomed me, and I saw his studio was full of Swami's pictures, and I hadn't seen Swami then. I hadn't known about Swami. Swami was known very less to people. I guess if you look for Swami, then you would find somebody. It was not like you would just bump into Swami's name as you do now, anywhere in any part of the world. And of course, there was no Google or internet. So life seems to, I don't even know how we lived without them, right? So I didn't know who this person was, but then I started painting, and he taught me how to do skin color, and I started seeing Swami, and I started painting. After 2 weeks I said, is there anything else that we can paint? You're just giving me this person's picture again and again. I'm just painting orange and red and yellow and the skin tone, and who is he? I asked him. Who is he? To my astonishment, he said he's a holy man. I said, holy man? In India? Looking like this? Because all the holy men I was raised with were having beards, and and he's so, first thing I said was, he's so clean. He's clean shaven, he's so clean. And he laughed, because by then Sai Datta had known all my ideas of religion and everything. And so he said, he's your kind of holy man. I said, oh, okay, but I don't want to do anything with holy man, so that's fine, it's nice, I just learned painting, I'll stick to it. I didn't want to get into another so-called satsangh, or I didn't want. He said, no, he's your kind. Read this book about him. And so he gave me Summer Showers in Vrindavan. That was a book. Baba used to hold summer courses before the college started. He was always interested in the youth, because he knows that was the key age when things happen. And so Baba used to organize summer courses where students from all parts of the country would go and participate, spend a whole month with Baba. And Baba would freely move among them, speak in the morning and evening, give discourses, and have experts come and talk about Vedas, Upanishads, and Indian culture and spirituality, and reawaken our traditions where we came from. Not 200-year-old tradition, not a 500-year-old tradition, but 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, God alone knows how long. We have belonged to a tradition which is steeped in self-enlightenment. So there was this book which was a collection of Baba's discourses of 1978 or 77, I'm not sure. And so he said, read this. You will know what this holy man stands for. Reluctantly, I took the book. I went home. I said, okay, let me see. He's going to, I was looking for, on Monday, do this puja to please Shiva. And on Thursday, chant this so many times to get the Guru's grace. On Friday, do this puja to please the Devi. And I was looking at all that. I was looking at Hanuman Chalisa to be chanted 5 times or 20 times, and those kind of things. Because that's the only thing I knew from people. And I opened this book and I read and read on. All I came across was love all, serve all. God is love, love is God. I was like, what? This is what I always believed. Nobody ever told me, but this is the truth. This is what I wanted. Go out and serve humanity. That is how you express divinity from within you. This was so simple in a language I could relate to. That I always remember that night I began reading and I didn't stop reading. I just went one discourse after the other. I was looking for flaws and I couldn't find any. I was looking for this so-called, because by then I heard he had powers, miraculous powers, this. So I was looking for something where he will say why these powers are nothing. It was just about love, 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 love. Everybody is equal. God is love. God is the closest to you. You are God. That was like, wow. This is so simple, so powerful. For me, that was it. I said, I have to know more about him. So I go back to Sai Center and I said, how do I get to know him? Where do I go? Where do I go to see him? He said, I've got news for you, Sunder. You are looking for a college. Sai Baba is going to start a college in 17. A few months later, you're going to pass out of your 12th grade. He's going to start a college. Why don't you go and check this place out and write to your dad and mother and tell them that about this college and go and stay there. And it'll be, you'll get a chance to see Sai Baba and learn about him. And it's a great place. You'll get your degree and that'll be perfect for you. It's a very quiet village, natural surroundings and everything. And that appealed to me almost instantly. You know, people ask me whether I believe in reincarnation and past life. I said, I don't know what I believe, but my experiences forced me to consider that. This is one of those times when I consider how this fell into place. Now, when I first heard of Puttaparthi, I just felt that is my home. I have to go there. It immediately clicked. For a boy who's raised in the Bombay city life, who wants to go to a film institute, the name ashram should have turned me off, especially when I already had negative ideas about all this. But when I heard the way he described to me, I said, this sounds so unique. I want to go there. So it just fell in place at the right time, at the right place. And sometimes when I look back, I think we are, at this point, I truly believe that we are spiritual beings and we live many lifetimes to evolve, to realize our own inner divinity. And we take off from where we left and we carry on. And therefore, I believe that there was a time when I had to just do it. And it just came completely from within. The call came, I just couldn't say no. And so I decided to join. I wrote a nice detailed letter to my father, and the big answer came no. From one side, from Film Institute, now you want to go in Baba's ashram. What is this? They thought Baba's ashram means, they didn't know about Sai Baba much, and any ashram would invariably mean he's going to become a monk. He's like, what? One side you're saying Film Institute, one side now you're going to become a monk. I said, no, they're going to have an educational institution, it's regular education, regular degrees. I had a tough time convincing him. And then I got the idea came that why not join the summer course the month before the actual 79 June is when the classes would begin, and it was announced that June is when Swami's college will open. So how about April and May, you get a chance to actually spend in summer course and write to your dad. So I told him, Father, can I at least join the summer course? I will go there, I will spend 1 month, and I'll write to you. Every day I'll give you a report of what we did. And then you decide whether it's worthwhile or not. And since they were also cornered in such a way, it's amazing. When Baba decides to pull you in, he will give you such a place that you have no choice to go but to him. So they were also cornered. There wasn't any other alternative solutions. So they said, okay, you know what, you go join the summer course. And they were, my mother tells me, we were sure that after 1 month of that bhajan puja, you will come back saying, I don't want to do all that. Little did they realize there was no puja there. There was only bhajans and there was only love and divinity. And so, I'll keep my story short there because how I got into summer course was a whole different thing. But I got into the summer course. I went and I stayed that 1 month and it was fascinating. What impressed me most was how available Swami was. I said, this is the Sai Baba people talk so much. He's so simple. I mean, it's very easy. He just passes by. I can go and touch his feet when he passes by, or kneel down and he says, "Kya hai?" and you can talk to him. Because I never had a chance to speak with him, but it was just so easy to see him, so available. And Swami's discourses were amazing. For me, that was the turning point completely. I said, makes so much sense. He's talking and I can actually follow what he says. He's talking my language. He's talking a language we can relate to. And I grew to love the the atmosphere. I grew to appreciate what Swami stood for. I hadn't fully accepted Swami as my guru and everything. I saw people falling at his feet and this and that was fine. I was also doing it because it was fun to do. Everybody's doing, you do it. But in my heart it wasn't that click. But I grew to admire Swami for what he stood for. I grew to admire him for his teachings, and he made so much more sense. And my first encounter with Swami's divinity was just around the corner. And that's where I want to get to. My results came, my summer course got over, and then so about a few of us, handful of us went to Puttaparthi from Vrindavan in Bangalore where the summer course was held. We moved to Puttaparthi because end of May I wrote to my father saying, this is perfect, I love this place, I'm going to see Puttaparthi, and I believe that's even more beautiful, so I want to go there. And so I went to Puttaparthi and I just loved the hills and the mountains, and it's such a beautiful divine surrounding. And so I said, this is where I want to be. I just don't mind anything, I want to get my degree here. I never planned to stay 15 years. Nobody thought about it. I was just looking at what next. So somehow I convinced my dad and stay here for my degree. So Principal Sastri was the first principal. I went to him, told him, Sai Ram sir, by then we had all learned to say Sai Ram. So Sai Ram sir, what do I need to get into the college? He says, I need your grade sheet and I'll take you in. I said, I have to do bachelor's in commerce because my father has decided I have to do commerce. He said, okay, you need to get over 60% in marks. I mean, over 60% in your grade, you can get admission in the bachelor's in commerce program. If you get above 80%, you get into the science program. I said, no, that's not going to happen. I think I'll manage commerce. And anyway, my father wanted me to do commerce, so I said, okay, fine. My grades came, and I had 49%. Now kids, don't take this home and tell your parents that I'll get into trouble. But this was the truth. I looked at my grade sheet, I couldn't believe, and of course along with mailing my grade sheet was my father's hot letter. I could feel the heat of his anger on the letter itself. I opened it and he said, come back immediately. That is why I told you to study hard, underlined in caps. And so, come back immediately, we'll see what we can do for you. We'll have to find another college which should take you for low marks and this and that. So I was like, oh my God, what is this? And luckily I was alone here. I said, he had sent me the return tickets also. He said, come, because June is coming and the college is open in June. And in India, 1 year miss means somehow they think the whole life comes to a stop. I kept it. I went every day for darshan, hoping to get a chance to speak to Swami or do something, and somehow convinced that I need to get admission. June 6th or June 4th, I'm not sure of the date, the college opened, and my time to go back had come. Every day I would go and meet the principal. I would put a nice big vibhuti mark and a kumkum and everything that I could do to impress him that I was a really good guy. I really wanted, I'm a real devotee of Baba, I would make sure he sees me sitting in bhajan and meditation. I tried everything to impress him. But I would go to him and say, please, I got only this much, but I need admission in commerce. He says, I can give you a bachelor's of arts. I said, my father will shoot me down. I can't do that. I need to get into commerce. He said, Baba is very strict. Only Baba can help you. I have no choice. I said, how do I talk to Baba? He said, sit in darshan and ask him. It's not so easy. Even though the number of people were less those days, it still was quite a few. There wasn't any tokens, so you could go and sit in the front, sit in the first line and do all that. Somehow it didn't work. And with a couple of days to go back, I decided that this was it. It didn't work at all. I had not got to the point to pray to Baba. It didn't click to me that, because I was like, what do you mean pray? He's just like us. What do you mean pray to him? How is that going to work? And so that idea of praying to Baba didn't happen. But I came to a point that I have to go back and face my father, my family, and I don't know where I'm going to go, what college I'm going to do. So I was so angry with myself and the world, I decided to blame Baba. It's very easy for us. When something goes wrong in our life, we look whom to blame next. The government, McDonald's, Pizza Hut for my health. Let's blame everyone. So we get God to blame him. What are you doing? What are you doing with my faith? So blame him. So I got a chance to blame Swami. So I wrote a very strong letter to Swami. And I remember that because I was crying when I wrote it. I said, I thought I could believe in God and divinity and spirituality because of you and your teachings, what I learned in Vrindavan. I heard from you, I saw you, but my hope is shattered because this is not going to work. I got low marks, but I'm not given a chance to join a college. Is marks so important? This, that, whatever, I just wrote as any young, fiery, young blood Bombay guy. I was a big fan of Amitabh Bachchan, so I'd seen Diwar and Sholay. I said, yeah, let's go back to Swami and tell him, I made up my mind, I'm not going to slither away from Puttaparthi. Rather look into Baba's eyes, tell him, this is what I think of you. You're not really helpful. So I had written that to Swami, and I told him, when you take this letter, I'm going to cut you off completely from my life. A very strong letter. I rolled it, I kept it in my hand. The next day I went to sit right in first. I wanted to sit, for those of you who remember, in those days before the Kulwant Hall was built, there was a big arch right in the center. On the side, one side of the arch, the ladies would sit, on the other, facing the mandir, and the other side, the gents would sit. And under the arch, all the ashram authorities will stand during the darshan, and everything else was just plain sand. And so I made sure I came right and sat on the edge of the men's side when it begins. Right, I'll be the first guy sitting there. So there is no way Baba will miss me. And I can just, get up on my knees, which I've never done. I'll say, I'll get up, I'll give. Abhi kya darna hai? It's all over, go home. It's done. So I had made up my mind, it's all over. I was very angry, I wanted to tell Swami. I sat there, and he came for darshan. He passed the ladies' side, he came. He was coming to the gent side. I went on my knees, I had the letter, the envelope between my palms. I looked at him, I kneeled, and he said, Kya hai? Kya hai? I was very happy. I said, Baba, admission, Baba, admission. And I heard this, my father's voice from inside, say, be calm. So I was like, Swami, admission, Swami, be calm. Swami, admission, Swami, be calm. I was just thrilled that he asked me something like this. Because I just named, Swami, admission, Swami, be calm. He looked, said, be calm? Be calm. Be calm. Just like you, I vaguely remember everybody burst into laughing. I didn't know what was going on. Be calm, be calm. I mean, he's talking to me. Then I distinctly remember, he just looked to the principal, he looked to me, he did something like this, and went past. When he was talking to me, he had his two fingers. He sometimes he picks up the envelope like this. He doesn't always do it. So he had his finger like this on the envelope, two fingers. He didn't take the envelope. And later on I realized that I had written, you take this envelope and my relation with you is done. He just kept it, said, okay, do you want to cut it? Do you really? Let's see what this guy comes up with. It's almost like he said, you want to cut it, not me. And I remember this many years later. He said, you may want to leave me, but I'll never leave you. I will hold you. And when I hold you, that bond will never break. You can run away from me this lifetime. You will come back to me in your next. I will never leave you once you're my devotee.